Hello and welcome to the London United Filmmaker Podcast. My name's Greg Randolph. Today I have Pierluigi Campa on. We speak about growing up in Naples, Italy, his London Film School grad film that he wrote and directed, Treadmill, and his work in the camera and lighting departments professionally in London. Pierluigi Campa, welcome to the London United Filmmaker Podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Pierluigi, thank you so much for being here. You're really, I think, one of the more hardworking alumni of LFS. You are constantly, whether when you're not directing or DOPing, you're in the camera department or doing lighting. You're kind of multifaceted in that regard. We don't often get a chance to chat, so thank you so much for taking some time out just because you're so busy. I just wanted to chat a little bit about your kind of filmmaking journey, where you started. You're originally from Naples, Italy, yes. And I just wanted to get a little sense of kind of your journey to London Film School and what you've been up to recently. Just to kind of preface, you were a DOP in Term 4, which is black and white short films, about 10 minutes long, and then you directed a grad film called Treadmill.
Yes.
And I just want to hear about those experiences. So to start, can you tell me a little bit about what got you into filmmaking? What was it that sparked your imagination? I'm just curious about, kind of growing up in Italy and just what got you into film.
Yes. So I'm from Naples, in Italy, in the south of Italy. And I think like around 18 years old, I start to be creative in terms of for example, I went into photography and I asked my family the first camera and then I was taking picture and all that. And after that, I fall in love with storytelling in general. And I wanted to study advertising at the time. So I went in Milan for a better school that is called NABA, New Academy of Fine Arts. I studied there graphic design and direction. And in the end of the 3 years, I become an advertising person in Milan. I worked for a couple of years. Then I figured out that wasn't very my word in terms of pace and what you needed to do, and at that time I figured out that I still wanted to be in a world where I need to tell a story, but maybe a different word. So that time I took the step. Basically I left Milan and I wanted to study film and cinema. And I didn't want to study in Italy because at that time I felt that, for example, you're not really open and free to do whatever you want in Italy. You need to feel the vibe, and there is a lot of a nepotism as well, a little bit. So I thought, okay, let me go in another country, maybe meet another culture, learn another language, and then I came here in London to do the London Film School. Cool. And I think what you got me in storytelling was always I have this mind where I see things and I wonder a lot. Too much maybe. And for example, I watch someone in a bus stop and I image a backstory, and then I snap out of it, and then that's basically a story. Just looking at them, maybe the coat, maybe they're reading a book, maybe they're doing they're holding hands with the little sister. The way they're holding with the little sister maybe sparks a story in my mind, and then I said, you know what, I just need to tell a story.
Cool. That's indicative in your grad film. It's kind of like a slice of life thing, because really the premise of it is in a sneaker shop.
Yes.
So it's it's a kind of a perfect place because it's maybe something unassuming, but you kind of create a really interesting world within that. And it's screened at the last January showcase at BFI. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we'll get there, but I want to kind of continue. Can you tell me just a little bit about what growing up in Naples was like, and also what is it like to be lactose intolerant?
Well, that's a question that many people ask me. But I became lactose intolerant 6 years ago.
Okay.
So just before coming to London. Yes. So I was safe in Italy, mozzarella and pizzas, a lot of them. So I was good. But then for some reason, I don't know what happened. But it's fine. I mean, they say intolerance, they shame.
Yeah.
The more you grow, the more. So I'm hoping to get back to mozzarellas and Nutellas and all that. But yeah, in Naples it was particular, I would say, because like Naples is very hard to be a creative.
Okay.
There is no many school, and also like for example, many people is like they want a full-time job and the full-time contract and all that. And to be a creative means you basically don't have a job.
Yeah.
And also the school there, they're not very nice, and maybe the it's very theoric but no practical, so you don't learn to do the thing. So basically it was not easy because all the other people around me were like doctors and like lawyers and other stuff, and I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to have a full-time job. I just wanted to create and wonder. And sometimes like people say, okay, you're just lazy, like you didn't want to work.
That's not true.
It's not that. It's not that. It's just like when you have an open mind, then you understand that actually, just to work every day and like to be a doctor or a lawyer, there is something else.
Yeah. Maybe there's something kind of averse to just a regimented schedule. You wanted something a little bit more kind of difference in a day to day, which makes sense. That's totally legit.
Yeah, and then like for example, growing up as a teenager was kind of rough as well. But I think like I need to thank this bad experience that I had for like the person that I'm now. I think like I'm more aware, I'm more active. I met a lot of layer of the society, and that's good. Also when you're telling stories, because to be authentic.
Yeah.
So.
Did you feel kind of ostracized by when you were growing up in Naples, like from classmates and things like that? Did you feel kind of like separated from them because of like your own imagination and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, like for example, like to give like a simple example, it was in the past they were like, I was telling a joke or something, and they were saying, but how do you think this thing? Like, where do you take it from? And I was like, for me it was normal because it was like maybe just like a result of my creativity. But for them it was almost like something crazy out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, So I had almost like to limited my own creativity just to don't show, Yeah, so it was particular.
Do you think, did your parents play a part in, you think, opening your creativity? Did they show you films, or was there kind of any, or was this something that you felt like very much like it was just something that came from you?
Yeah, no, I think it came from me because my parents were so busy. They were just busy working. So I didn't have the chance of the time to share this stuff with them. So it was like a research of my own on photography, music. I played a lot of games.
Cool.
And also like that like shifted and moved me to film. Because at a certain point, some games with the development, like they get so good, they were like almost films. And I said, okay, this is good. This is like an interactive storytelling. And then so I started to watch a lot of films and stuff like this. But I need to thank them to, like allow me to find my my journey and allow me to do that.
Yeah,
because
cool.
like, for example, my grandfather didn't do that for my father. So my grandfather was like, I don't know, you need to do this job, and that's the only thing you need to do. And for me, instead, it was like, okay, do you want to do this? Are you sure? 100%? Are you going to put 100% effort into it? Yes,
then do
I
it.
want to do it.
Then do it.
And then they say, yeah.
Very cool. Can I ask you, was there a film that you watched early on, something you remember from either childhood or early adulthood that like particularly you responded to that made you go, damn, I really need to go into this like further? Whether it's something regional or just something from that you watched that just really sparked things.
Yeah, there is. But, meanwhile, I was working still as an advertisement.
Okay. In Milan.
In Milan.
Cool.
I went to the cinema with Veronica, my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we went to watch The Killing of the Sacred Deer.
Okay.
And basically after that film, I was like, okay, I need to become a filmmaker. Like there is no other way. Like I know what to do now, and that film blowing me away. I don't know if it was like the storytelling, the cinematography. I think it was like because it was so deep and like so in so many layers. Because after the film, I went home and I would research about that, and then the story behind the film and like the Greek mythology, and I was like, it's so deep. Like
That's cool.
there is so much information here, and so I got lost, and like I fall in love with Yorgos Lanthimos and all his work.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, that's really fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I imagine you followed his work all the way through.
Yes.
What do you think of Kinds of Kindness and Poor Things?
That's an interesting question. Poor Thing is amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's a lot
love
of fun.
Poor Thing. I understand maybe why Kinds of Kindness arrived after Poor Thing, because I think is resemble his old work. But I think Poor Thing is another level.
Yeah.
He evolved.
Yeah, that's an
And I think Kind of Kindness is still like going backward.
Reversion.
Yes.
But in a good way, in a good way. Like fun to watch, but
Yeah.
Poor Things is definitely like an evolution for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, great. I've got a great idea of your background. Very succinct, very kind of efficient way of getting there. Can I ask you, tell me about your experience. What did you apply? I think that's an interesting question, because we applied with a script and a video or a film that we send. What did you send as a film to LFS?
Well, I didn't send a film. I sent a script.
Okay.
Which was Treadmill.
Wow.
So the first draft of Treadmill, that was completely different from what basically I shot, and it's different because I then rewrote it and I co-write it together with Lyndon.
Yes.
Yeah. The collaboration with him was amazing, like, because I think I wanted to put a little bit of irony in the film, but not to be a comic film, so still a bit of drama with a little bit of irony, and we had the same irony. And so when we were writing it, like we were laughing at the same thing, and it was like just flawless. Like I enjoyed that process so much, and I'm glad it changed, because in the beginning was a little bit more violent.
Okay. Treadmill was.
Yes, it was a little bit more violent, but yeah, that's I apply with that and with more like portfolio stuff that I shot, because I was shooting stuff meanwhile I was working in Milan.
Cool.
Because I also was a fashion photographer and a freelance videographer there.
Cool. Amazing. Now we've gotten to London Film School and kind of some of your experiences there. I want to know, maybe you could tell us about one particular project. Doesn't need to be linked with the school, but just something from that 2.5 year period that really resonated with you. Can be a term film, can be something outside of school, but just something that you were involved with, because again, you're really kind of, I know that your big interests are writing and directing and DOPing. So whatever kind of fits that gamut before the grad film, because I'd really like to have it like a more in-depth discussion of Treadmill, but up until then.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think like my term 4 was a project that I keep in my heart because of the collaboration with the Remy Moses.
Great.
So he was director in term 4. I was DOPing. I was getting the first chance to, DOPing a bigger project on a set that's built 15 minutes on film.
On 35 millimeter film, is that correct? And Remy Moses, I had an interview with a couple of weeks ago, who his grad film is Saving Art. So he's really a rising star as a writer-director. So that must have been exciting to work with him at that time.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, I mean, you could feel that he knew what he wanted, and you can tell that he had experience because you shoot some more stuff in before.
I know he's got a big IMDb, and it seems like he, with his friends, had been making lots and lots of films. So this seemed like a step for everybody, but he definitely knew was experienced. Yeah,
it was the best person to DOP for the first time, because basically he was an experienced director. So meanwhile I was doing the shot list. Basically we were just sitting down and talking. I mean, like, I think like this shot is gonna look great. Yeah, let's do it. This for the character, this for this emotion, the reaction shot. Yeah, it was amazing. And Yeah, I am really happy about the project also because I think the lighting plan was quite easy, but it was quite successful, and I think like easy to operate, but on point, because we're like this pool of light and then erasing like the exposure with smoke. And then we had like some like monster in the shadow that you could see and not see, like just the eye.
Cool.
So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy about that also because like after that people were like, how would you do this like with the smoke and the pool of light? Blah, blah, blah.
People thought you did a good job. That's really awesome. Can I ask you, is there something you learned about shooting on film from that experience? Like I know, because I know it was an early experience, but was there like when you finally looked at the rushes in the cinema, because we're critiquing all the way through, we critique the rushes in those terms. Is there something you learned about shooting on 35 millimeter film from that experience?
I mean, for example, for sure, like the patience of it, and like the precision, and just like working as a team, because you work as a team. If you work well, you work faster. And then I was like measuring everything. Like at that point, I was measuring
with the
everything.
Light meter,
with the light meter. Like now it's something that I don't do anymore sometimes because like digital and like these good monitors and stuff. But I still have I still have that eye of like, okay, let me check, that like contrast ratio, and like let me check that spot. Like I can do it without like a light meter, but that I learned it because I used a light meter. And it was amazing also because like you learn a lot, like the pace, for example, working with the first ID on set with film, everyone is like worried about the film finishing, and you need to like, for example, if you didn't get a shot and you want to do it again, you need to be sure. So you need to talk with the first ID and the director and say, okay, I want to do it again, because the movement was not right, and so it's a big decision because it's not digital. You can just shoot it again. It's film.
Absolutely. That's well put. Okay, great. I've got a really good idea of a specific term film that you really enjoyed and learned something from. So I guess we can move into your grad film and talk about Treadmill and talk about just what the experience was of making it. So I've already got an idea of where it came from. It came from, it sounds like your imagination leads you to kind of specific moments where you're just kind of seeing a character and you're making a character out of that. But why the sneak, or maybe I think maybe what would be best if you describe a little bit of the plot, describe the film a little bit, and then just talk about what comes to mind as far as kind of the whole production of it all the way through.
So Treadmill talks about a sales assistant working in a sportswear store in central London, and he gets bullied by his manager, and he plots to get revenge and like maybe fire him. And basically this is based for something that happened to me.
Oh, really?
Yes, because when I arrived here in London, I had to work. So basically one of the first jobs that I had, I was a sales assistant in a sportswear store. I can't say which brand.
Sure.
But basically I was selling shoes, and a funny thing, I was like one of the best.
Oh, really?
Yes, because basically you earn commission on the certain shoes that you sell.
Nice.
And basically I was just selling that. I was just selling that kind of shoes, and because I was good, I quickly came from women sportswear to the running sportswear. That was like the best, floor and all that. And basically I don't know what happened. Like the manager there was a bit abusive, a bit toxic. It was completely mad. Yes, and so I didn't have a very good experience on like 6 months that I worked there. And I left. I left the job with the applause of all the people working there, because they say like, well done, because I said like, I can't take it anymore. Bye. But well, I got the film out of the way, so I'm happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what Treadmill talks about, and is my own experience. It's not a documentary, so there is a little bit of fiction. I changed it to be, a little bit more dramatic, and also like, if I had to put everything in it would be like too long.
Yeah.
And also very, very difficult to shoot. But yeah, that's what Treadmill talks about. And do you want to know like what it is?
Yeah. So I've got an idea of the story. Can you tell me a little bit about developing the script and kind of working with the co-writer, and a little bit about just kind of the flow of things, whatever catches your mind in regards to pre-production, assembling the crew, working with your HODs, and then maybe a little bit about production, any specific things, finding a location, maybe something like that, and then maybe a little about post-production as well, just just the whole experience of making the grad film.
Yeah. Okay. So doing realizing Treadmill it's not been easy, but it's been rewarding because I learned a lot. I think I learned a lot from it. What's the first question?
It was just kind of about pre-production, working with your HODs, and just kind of making the film from that aspect of it.
Yeah. So as I said, I rewrote this film and I co-wrote it with Lyndon, which is an ex-student from the screenwriting from the London Film School. And that collaboration was amazing. And basically, I changed it from a film that in the beginning was more about the sales assistant getting revenge on the manager as a person. But then reflecting on the film is not about that person. The film is about a toxic work environment. So it's about someone taking a power in a workplace and then using it in a bad way, in a harmful way. So then I realized what the film was about, and rewriting it, I think I nail it in that rewriting process. And I think as doing short film is expensive, and then it's not easy to get found. So I did a crowdfunding campaign. Then I used all my own money, some money that the school give us to produce the films, and then I was scouting for a DOP, and most of my colleagues for my cohort were busy shooting their own thing, especially because we had a lot of directors and DOPs, so there were a lot of people who were busy. So I tried to find someone that was already graduated, an alumni, and I found Aditya Sharma. And it was good. From the beginning, it was amazing because I asked him to be the director of photography, and he was like, okay, but let's meet first, let's have a conversation. Let's, see if we can get along and stuff like that. So we just went for a beer. Yeah. And that was amazing. It was it was supposed to be a 30 minutes meeting, and then it went along for 2-3 hours. Nice. And, we became friends after that. We're still very, very good friends. Yes. So he accepted to shoot my grad, and then we went in pre-production. Yeah. And I think the only challenging things, I think the whole process was quite smooth. For example, I got the actors that I wanted.
It's great.
I go
how did you find them?
So basically I had the casting director. Great. Which is Paolo Carbone. And he was very good. He was on point, yeah. And basically he posted everywhere on Mandy and on Twitter and some other groups, and then someone from Twitter replied, and this guy was Holly Higginson. Holly Higginson is he did Bridgerton.
Okay.
Yes. Great. Yes. So we did thanks to the producer at that time was Nabil. So the main one was Nabil, and then I had the other two co-producer, Sid and Spandana, and they were amazing. Yes, they helped me a lot, because I think the pre-production was quite tough in terms of the location. The location was the hardest thing. In fact, we had to move the shoots a couple of times because we didn't find the perfect location. And I still think I didn't find the perfect location for the film, because the best thing for the film will be to shoot in an actual shop. Yeah. But the problem with that is or you pay the shop for the money that they will earn on that day, or you shoot during night time. But the problem with that is you can't touch anything. So production design is that you can touch it. Lighting is a bit hard to place it, and then you don't really want to shoot at night. Everyone is gonna be tired, the crew, the cast, and so I didn't want to do that. In the end, so I got a studio, a quite big studio, And I got a production designer, which he was quite good at building stuff. So he built stuff from scratch. And we basically built a sportswear store in a studio.
Great.
I think like I still got like a good set, but I think the atmosphere and tone will be different if I shoot it on location.
Yeah.
So that's I think like the hardest part of the film. Casting was good. You know, like I got 3 leads were amazing. Maybe another part that was like hard. It was getting extra. Because the problem is like you know, you want to pay people, and if you don't pay people, then don't show up. So basically I got some people, but they were not enough to show like a busy store.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun. And then also like, for example, the main people I got, they were like my age, so, and maybe younger. So, you know, the old store looked a bit too young.
Yeah.
You know, everyone had like 20 to 25 years old. So, but yeah, rather than that, it was all fine. You know, 5 days, no stress. And I think that's what I said to my DOP as well. I said, look, that's gonna be my first time directing like a long 15 minutes. I don't want too many shots. So, you know, like to feel the pressure of like, we're not getting the shots, we need to like rush. I just want to like talk with the actor, you know, have a good experience. That's what I want to get out of this film, like, you know, as an experience. And that's what I got, because like, I mean, I had so much, you know, time just to talk with the actors, and nobody was stressed, nobody was like hungry, nobody was like tired. You know, like, so that's, I think like that's one of the most important things when you're shooting.
That's absolutely great. Yeah. And I think it's a really good way to look at the grad film. I think sometimes you get a little bit feeling like it needs to, you know, premiere at a certain festival or do something specific, but I think you're taking just a very like natural and comfortable approach, which couldn't really help you with the next film you decide to make. So I appreciate that. Yeah, and the experiences can still be just as strong. So that's really great. That sounds like it was a fun experience. It sounds like Aditya was great to have on the team. I've worked with Aditya, and he's really fantastic, you know, on the vertical stuff we've done, the vertical dramas. So you've given me really succinct, you know, kind of view and portrait of your experience at London Film School, your grad film, things you were doing before. Can I ask you then, because you've been so super busy with like legit working projects, you're kind of multi-talented in that regard, in regards to your flexibility as a lighting person, as a camera person, as a DOP, as a director. Tell me a little bit about post LFS life. Tell me about some of the jobs. I know that you were at Wex Photo Video for quite a while, but since then you've left to pursue kind of working on set full time. Tell me a little bit about the recent work experiences you've had. I'm curious, and I think a lot of viewers and audience would be curious about, what does an LFS film school student do after film school?
Okay, so I think like after graduated, what you do is applying for festival. If you direct a film,
sure.
So you apply for festival like for maybe like 1 year. You plan and you research and all that. You still network a lot. You go for events. You know, you still have graduation ceremonies. Yeah. Like we have 2 ceremonies.
We do have 2.
two graduation ceremonies.
Like, whoa.
So I think that time flies away.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as I said, like I always had to work. Meanwhile, I was studying, so I've been for 4 or 5 years as Sony promoter, part time. So that's also meanwhile I was studying at LFS, and that was good because like I mean I was researching about cameras and like talking about cameras every day, like not every day, like, you know, twice a week, but
yeah.
And then like, you know, practicing with gears and selling gears and talking about gears, but then at a certain point I was getting project. Because I was graduated, I had experience, I built a little bit of gear through the years because, you know, I was working in a shop, so I was buying things here and there.
Yeah.
So I started to get a lot of freelance jobs, and at a certain point, unfortunately I had to quit because I didn't have the time, because sometimes these jobs comes like the day before for the day after, so I couldn't, you know, call sick or like holiday every time. And also like, for example, for some longer project, like, you know, 1 week, you can't do that if you have a part-time job. So I quit my part-time job, and now it's like almost 1 year, I think, that I work full-time freelance. So So I'm registered as like sole trader and everything. I'm trying to find an accountant. Like
Nice.
it's like, I thought it was easy. It's not.
Okay, yeah. If you're an accountant out there,
Yes.
Pierluigi, I'll put the contact, and I'll put all the trailers for your films, and I'll put as much information as you'd like,
Thank you.
underneath
Yeah.
any of the YouTubes and stuff like that, so people can get in contact.
Yeah, I mean, like, I talk about with my colleagues about an accountant, and basically, like, most of people don't have it because they do it by themselves. But the thing is, like, because I bought a lot of equipment, I need to expense it, and then like that's where the accountant come from. But anyway, so the kind of work I think in the beginning is a lot of corporate.
Corporate, yep.
Yes, but the thing about corporate is like it gives you the chance to practice lighting. Like sit down interview, you practice with the light and the camera placement. You can play around and then the pay is good. Is good, and especially for me because it's like I can manage to charge for myself plus the equipment that I own. And that's a plus for some clients because they don't need to, go for a rental house. Rental house is great. I love rental house. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to like pay the van to get the equipment and then come back. Instead if you have it on you, it's a bit easier for
Absolutely.
some people. So then I did like music video, fashion films for a friend of mine. I did some documentary. I think like a lot of different stuff. Like recently, like 2-3 weeks ago, I reshoot some scene for an indie feature film.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
That was amazing, and like actually like turned out quite well. In fact, I think I'm gonna share a picture in a couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
yes. So like tons of different things, but my main interest is still like shooting fiction and narrative, but it's not easy. And the thing is because it's not easy because unfortunately short films, they don't have a market.
Yep.
So you can't sell it.
No.
You can't do, you can't get some money back what you invest. So sometimes and most of the short films, they are not paid. So the crew is not paid, or if it's paid it's very little, or if it's not paid maybe it's like just expenses. So unfortunately we live in London and it's very very expensive city, and I need to pay the bills.
Yes.
So I like for this reason like I do mostly at the moment corporate and stuff that pays.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to balance. In fact, like I think now my next goal, my goal before graduation was to work and earn money. I think now I'm there. I'm good.
Yes.
But now my goal is to balance everything. So balance the jobs that are giving me money and jobs that are giving me portfolio.
Yeah.
That I can grow my portfolio, that I can show what I can do, I can grow. So that's what my goal is now.
And so that's I think that seems kind of like a short to middle term goal. What are your long-term goals? Like what are you looking to write a feature down the line? Would you like to do another short before you do something like that? Are you looking to DOP something? Like it's a lot to juggle, especially writing, DOPing and camera, all the things. So I'm curious, kind of, like in the short and middle term, I think you want to keep your options open in regards to all the different jobs you can get. But I imagine, there's some, at the end of the day, you'd love to figure out a feature or something, but I don't want to put, I'm curious as to what you see there.
Yeah, see, it's not easy. For sure, as you said, like for example, I'm juggling a lot of things, but at the moment I'm more towards like shooting.
Cool.
So I'm trying to shoot as much as possible. For example, in the beginning after LFS, I was sparking a lot, working in lighting department or like camera assisting. So now
you were working for London Film School for a little bit as well.
Yes.
Yeah. You're helping out on term films, like as a tutor.
Yeah, as a stage gaffer.
Sure,
so like supervising the student like in lighting and that they don't burn anything or stuff like this. But yeah, like now I'm focusing more on shooting because I want to DOP. I want to, I just want to like shoot some fiction. And, sometimes like people ask me that, but you are a DOP or a cinematographer. And the thing that I reply is like, I get excited and in love with like both of them. Like, for example, when when I shoot something and I see the lights hit some, like, you know, the character in the right spot, I get excited, like, you know. And in the same time, when I can tell a story or, like, you know, talk with the actor and then give the right motivation to deliver a line, I get excited in the same time. So, like, I think at the moment
you're working hard, so you'll get there. You have to see where sometimes you have to follow your nose a little bit. It sounds like you have these goals in place, but
So at the moment I'm shooting. I'm super happy to, like, shoot some more. I'm still writing though. So that's quite hard, as you can imagine, because it's like working and then finding the time to write is not easy, especially because it's like when I write, nobody's paying me to do that. So that's time that I take off of jobs that they are paying me. So I'm still writing, and actually I'm writing something that I want to shoot in Naples.
Great.
Because,
yes, you've told me.
Yes, because my dream was always, like, to shoot a short film in Naples. I tried and I thought long enough to shoot my graduation film there, but I couldn't manage because it was take like too long and a lot of budget, like, you know, to shoot there. And it was like I don't have a lot of connection now because, you know, I left when I was 19, so it's not easy to go back, but I will. And I'm currently writing it, but I'm realizing that it's taking longer than I would like to. So I think I'm gonna write something. I have an idea for something smaller to shoot here, to direct
in London.
In London, yes, and it's
just
like,
to keep the wheels turning as far as writing and directing here. Got it.
Yes, keep the momentum, but also, like, because I think this kind of jobs is like you need to do it. You need to keep doing it because you learn, and, like, you don't forget, you know, this, like, stuff that you learn on set. Because if you don't go for like 6 months on set, I assure you, you're gonna, like, forgo some stuff how to do it. But if you go every day, you're gonna, like, you know, like, burn in your mind. So I'm gonna write something short, very short, to maybe, like, shoot in 2-3 days in London, just because I think, like, that's what I heard festival want now. Something very short, shorter than 15, and also because like, you know, especially with Instagram and social media, like, this short format, like, where the message is, like, short, is punchy, it tells a story, but it's not going too long. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to shoot more as a DOP as well. In fact, I think, like, I'm gonna, now that I have a quite nice kit, I think I'm gonna try to shoot more, like, music video, because, like, I think they're very creative. For example, in when you shoot, like, short films, you need to be careful of, like, you know, lighting continuity and, like, the shot is matching the narrative, and, you know, it makes sense. But on music video, you are a little bit more freedom with that, so you can do a shot that is creative just because it is. You don't need to find the reason why,
right?
Or, like, a movement, or you know, a color. Yeah, you know, like, you can find a reason for it, but you can just shoot it because, you know, it's nice.
Absolutely. I think you've got a really good idea of where you want to go and just how to stay motivated with all the different aspects of your goals. That's really fantastic. I think that covers a lot of what I was looking for from this conversation. Yeah, let me think if there's anything that we're missing out. I was going to ask about, you were talking about you're talking about balancing writing. Oh, can you please tell me a little bit about what your idea, or just, like, even just a little catchphrase or a log line for your film in Naples that you want to film is? It sounds really interesting. I'd love to help if I can, but is there anything you can give us, just as far as, like, a little, you know, just like a teaser?
Yeah. So, like, I think, like, I'm still thinking about the title, and, like, for example, when I thought about the title and basically represent a little bit Naples, because the title of the short film is Devil's Paradise. Because basically they say that Naples is a paradise where devils lives. And it's, like, it's so funny because, like, every time I go back to Naples, I understand why it's a paradise, and that's the first day. And then the more I stay there, I understand why they say devils live there. And it's because it's a beautiful city. It's incredible. I think it's like I don't know if you ever been to Naples or Rio de Janeiro.
Rio, I don't think I've been to either. I haven't been to either. No.
They say like Naples is similar to Rio de Janeiro.
Really?
Because it's like a gulf, and then you have the volcano, and it's like Naples. Yes, I said it's like a gulf, and so it's on the sea, and it's beautiful. Like I mean, every time I go back, I understand what's the real color of the sun, because here the sun is white.
Yeah.
In Naples, the sun is orange, but super orange, super warm, it's super strong, and the sky is super blue, and it's beautiful. And but for some reason there is a lot of there is a little bit of violence in Naples, and I'm not saying just physical violence. I think like violence is like the way we approach things, and I don't say there is like just violence, but there are like some people are angry. They are super angry, and I don't understand how can you be angry living in the most beautiful place in the world. And I think that's it. The new Paolo Sorrentino's film. Yes. So in the new Paolo Sorrentino's film Partenope, which is the name of Naples.
Yeah. One of my favorite directors. I just finished The Great Beauty again, and I was watching another one of his films that's set in Naples in some caves and things like that, and I was just like, man, this
Hands
is so
of
cool.
God.
Yes.
Hands of God.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm quite jealous of Sorrentino at the moment, because I think he's up. So. By the way, it's not easy to shoot the stuff that he's shooting in Italy.
I bet.
In Naples, it's not easy.
But he's that guy.
Yes, it
He
is.
can do it.
So he's lucky. He's super lucky.
can
But
do it.
I mean, he's great as well, because he managed. Because like people some people don't like that kind of stuff in terms of like they want to go to the cinema, they want to laugh. They want to be relaxed. They don't want to see this stuff like metaphoric stuff. They just want to relax and have a laugh. So he managed to put it in front of you, and it's so beautiful that like you can't look away. In his recent film.
Have you seen it?
Yes, Partenope, and I watched it in Naples.
That's A24, is that correct? And you saw it in Naples, because you were just back recently for it looked like some event or something was happening.
Yeah, it was a wedding, but also like just holiday.
And so you got to watch Sorrentino's new film in Naples. That's very cool, and it's based in Naples.
Yes.
Is that correct? That's very. He's from Naples?
Yes,
that's
he's,
very cool.
from.
You never seen him walking around down there or anything like that?
No, but I know a lot of people that maybe know him, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to meet him?" And I was like, "Well, yes."
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
So cool.
But yeah, in his new film Partenope, one of the characters says, nobody can be happy in the most beautiful city in the world. So, and that I think that phrase like just blew me away, and I understand, and like, but. For example, I'm going to tell about just a little bit about like what's my approach to filmmaking. So I think like my approach to filmmaking is like you take the most interesting stuff, which is for me is the human being, and you take it and you put it on the stage, and then you use the camera as a medium just to look at it and to analyze it. And I think like the camera helps you like to distract it, and then you can analyze it better and like maybe understand it and maybe like make it yours. So I think that's what I want to do shooting a film in Naples, because I see these people that are angry and this violence that is like, I don't understand where it's coming from. So I think shooting a film, I hope I can understand better. And that's the same thing that I did with Treadmill. When I shoot the film was for me to understand why that guy was so pissed, why that guy was so toxic. And like, we were just working, trying to earn money, to pay bills in the end of the day. So why he would make it, like worst every day. So that made me realize a lot of things, and that's, I think, is one of the many powers of filmmaking and films and storytelling. So that's
yeah, it's a great way to describe it. I think you described something fundamental in filmmaking very succinctly and just in a very kind of Pierluigi kind of way. And I agree with you. It's very like I think with my grad film as well, Different Faces, it's a little bit about whatever the subtext of the film is and whatever the kind of plot line running through it is potentially, as a writer, especially as a writer-director, you might be taking something subconscious that's bothering you, whether that's moving or, violence in a city that you think well, or depression or anything in between. And then if you can put that into a script and then film it, I mean, that's the closest thing to living it without, it's like it's holding a mirror, but it's something more, because it's not just a mirror. It's literally reliving it through other characters. And that's really can be very revitalizing and bring you to a new level of understanding. It's some people might go, well, that's a bit much to go through all those lengths, but it actually can be very, very fruitful, like that type of discovery,
For example, like Sorrentino said that he took many years to decide to shoot in Naples, and the reason why was because he was not mature enough for him to shoot in Naples. And I feel the same. For example, that's why I'm writing it, but until it's perfect, I don't want to shoot it. Yeah,
that's also very well said. I feel the same way about Boston. I grew up there. I'm born in New York, but grew up in Boston, and I think there's something to be said for I have got some great ideas for there, but I don't know if I'm ready. It's actually quite interesting to transplant and be able to kind of visualize stories in a different place. It gives you kind of that very palpable ability to kind of separate, I guess, that I think is sometimes important for filmmaking, is to kind of be separate and have perspective.
Yes.
And so I think some people, they shoot only in their hometown. You got your Woody Allens and these types of people who kind of make a lot of films about where they're from. And, it's a long list, but it's very helpful. It's very helpful to study in a separate city, get some experiences there. And then, of course, I think there's very few people that filmmakers who wouldn't want to make some type. I mean, you have so many stories about where you're from, you know what I mean? So it's well said, really well said.
For example, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to first go to Milan and then from Milan to London, and who knows, maybe in a couple of years I'm gonna go to another city. Is because I want to be like a citizen of the world. And I think nowadays everyone wants that, because with the social media you are exposed to all these beautiful places in the world, and you just want experience it and travel and all of that. So in the same time, I don't want to be stuck in my city, which is Naples. I don't want to be stuck also creatively. I don't want just to shoot story in Naples. If I go somewhere else, I don't know, in Bali or in Japan, or and I want to shoot stuff there, then maybe I can. An experience is what makes it makes you grow as a filmmaker, but also as a human being. It's the bread and butter of a filmmaker. You need to have experience. You need to grow as a human being first, and then you can tell stories. Because in the end of the day, otherwise. I don't think they're gonna be very deep stories. I don't know,
I think that's part of it's interesting, kind of where you're coming from, where sometimes only being on set, you can make beautiful stories about filmmaking, and about a director or about a camera person or about this or that. But I do think that sometimes being on set can be a little bit almost the negative side of wanting to tell stories, because you're kind of crafting a story that maybe either somebody else wrote or whatever, and that can be inspiring and you can be close to things, but you're so focused on a specific technical role within a story, it's kind of like a bubble away from it. And then you're right to go. I saw you in Luxembourg recently or something like that, and the idea of going kind of away from the idea of like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I have to write wherever I go or something like that. But sometimes I think you have to put the laptop down, you have to put the pen and paper down, you just have to go and have a really enjoyable experience. And then always those ideas will pop up, you jot them down. And when you have those kind of several bubbles, that's when the good stuff happens.
Like, for example, when I go to a lot of, master classes of events, this big director, you ask them, like, how do I become director? And they say, like, just shooting, just get the camera and, like, get shooting every day. You just shoot another stuff. But I think, like, before that comes leave.
Yeah.
Just leave first, experienced first, like, go everywhere, like, meet people, talk to other people, other culture, experience food, all of that. And then you get the camera and then you shoot, like, I think, like, if you don't have this kind of experience, it's going to be hard. But also because, like, it depends on which kind of character and people you're putting on the screen. Mm-hmm. Because, like, if you don't have any knowledge of this kind of people, how can you shoot it? You can't. It's no way.
Mm-hmm. That's very well said. Pierluigi, I feel like we could talk for another hour. But maybe that's for another podcast at some point. We can have. I think I want to do round tables. I've been saying these kind of all as like a teaser, maybe for an audience to continue watching. Is like maybe just round tables with other writers about kind of inspiration or where inspiration comes from, or maybe like there could be some type of podcast about making a story on the spot, and we could record 4 people making a feature film in like an hour or something like that. It'd be like an interesting experiment in like kind of putting us on the table to like watch the creative process of writing a story happen. Would be really interesting.
Yes, or like call like 4 DOP and ask how to lead this table and how they will do it differently.
That's like really cool. That's
4 people.
I love it. I think there's lots of really cool places we can go with this, But for now, I just want to thank you so much for being on the London United Filmmaker Podcast. Thanks for sharing some of your thoughts and experiences. And just thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.